Hindu Lounge is brought to you by Hindu Pact. Hindu Pact is the policy research and advocacy collective. It is an initiative of World Hindu Council of America, or VHPA. Hindu Lounge comes live every Sunday at 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific. And Hindu Lounge is hosted by Utsada. Utsada is Utsav Chakrabarti. Utsada is the executive director of World Hindu Council of America. Utsada, welcome back. And I am Ajay Shah. I am the president of World Hindu Council of America, or VHPA. As you guys know, we talk about contemporary American Hindu issues on Hindu Lounge. And Utsada, we are, today is an auspicious day. It is a day of Ram Janmabhoomi, and I want to wish everyone happy Ram Janmabhoomi. It is a day which is really important in Hindu Dharma.
Ram Navami, Ajay bhai. It's
Ram
Ram
Navami.
Navami. Yes.
Ram Navami. I'm sorry, I said Ram.
I know it's a Freudian slip. It's a Freudian slip.
I know. I understand. So that if I were to say Jai Shri Ram, I hope since you came back from West Bengal, you don't take particular offense to it, because in places like West Bengal now it is considered to be a militant slogan. But in all sincerity, Utsada, Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.
And see the screen. We have a beautiful
picture done by Vandana ji. So yeah. I know that a lot of our regular viewers would have thought that there is no show today, but there is indeed a show, and they will watch it recorded. But here we are. Utsada, welcome back from India. I know you were in India. You spent a lot of time in Calcutta. You were gone there for a month. And I know you met with the governor of Bengal, and Mamta Didi didn't come to see you, and I'm sure you've taken offense to it. Did Modi ji come and visit you?
No, Ajay bhai.
You didn't have time for him?
I'm not that big a person.
So that you are much bigger than you think. You're the executive director of Hindu Pact. Next time Modi ji wants next time Modi ji wants all the NRI support and howdy Modi, I don't know if it's going to be as successful without him having to pay a special visit to you in Calcutta. So I hope he can make it up to you sometime. Hey,
yeah. So we have to talk about it. Yeah,
I know. Hey, Utsada, welcome. I want to. Today is a really, we have a special show. But Utsada, as with all special shows, I don't. Have you see? You don't do software, so you don't know, because buildings are, and you can stop sharing the screen. But so the buildings are not quite built the same way as software is built. And in software, when you try to do demo, usually the software crashes, right? And it's almost like saying that when you're going to look at the building that has just been built and you're showing a new house to people, and even though you have walked in the house for 96 times, on the 97th time when you have a guest and you bring them to the house and the roof just collapses. So today was our roof collapsing moment. So we invited two people, very special people, to come to this show and talk about this amazing exhibit that I saw last week. And what do you think? I mean, what happens? I mean, as we are trying to kind of show off our show and show how great it is and everything else, all of a sudden, we have the software crash on us, and we joined 17 minutes late, and our viewers think that there's no show today. So not to worry, we are going to invite them here, and then we are going to then promote this show online, the recorded version of it. So with due apologies, let's bring in our two guests here today. And the first one is Vikas ji. I've known Vikas ji for a very long time. He is the resident of Boston for 30 years. He is Swayam Sevak of HSS, and he also works with many other social activities, and he manages sustainability and environmental programs. So today we are bringing him in to talk about this amazing exhibition called Darshana. But at some point, we are also going to talk to him about sustainability and environment, and from the Hindu perspective. So Vikas ji, welcome and namaste. Thank you for joining us. And my apologies once again for all the issues we had with going live, but here we are. And next is Natasha ji, Natasha Patel. She is born and raised in Dallas, Texas. She graduated from Wesleyan University and now works at Joel Frank, if I'm pronouncing it right, and
Yeah, Joel Frank. Yeah.
Joel Frank, an investor relations and corporate communication firm in New York City. It's great because my son also just started working in New York City about a year ago. So, how do you like New York?
Neat. I like it a lot, actually. I feel like I'm still only getting to know it as the weather is getting nicer. But so far, so good.
All right. Well, welcome to Hindu Lounge. So, as I said, we had issues today, and that's why But we are going to record this, and we are going to promote this, the recorded version of it. But we won't have the kind of interactivity that we usually look for in this show, which is just a unfortunate thing. We may have to get you guys back again just for the audience Q&A. But I'm so thankful for you to taking time out this morning and joining us and talking about this exhibit. I mean, it's really really well done exhibit. So that before I bring our guests in, I have them talk, maybe some initial comments from you, and any thoughts before we plunge into the this exhibit and talk about it and show the great promotional video that they have done and everything else. So please go ahead.
Thank you, Ajay, and welcome Vikas ji and Natasha ji. I had heard about the exhibits in very high, high regards from people around the community. And when the exhibit was being prepared, I had long conversations with Darshan Soni ji, who introduced the idea a couple of months ago, actually almost 6 months ago. So to me, and it's a fantastic thing that this is happening, and I hope it gets the visibility it deserves. It is important for Americans of all backgrounds to know more about Hindu Dharma and Hindu civilization, especially its historical heritage and its current progress. So, Ajay bhai, please go ahead and share the video, and I look forward
Yeah,
to
I mean,
seeing it.
I will definitely share the video in a minute. And before that, I want to give Vikas ji just a minute, couple of minutes to kind of introduce the video, introduce the exhibit. Why are we doing this? And then we can play video. Or Vikas ji, if you want, we can play the video first, whichever works for you.
No, I will give a little bit background and then we can show the video.
Okay.
It's also embedded in the presentation that I shared
I can. I don't know, Vikas ji, fading out. So you just froze. So let me.
with you, so
Vikas
you
ji, you
can
want
just
to
Okay.
put
take over?
there also on the, I
Oh,
think on
okay.
the second slide.
Yeah. Go
But
ahead,
you can, yeah,
Vikas ji.
yeah. I don't know. Suddenly I got frozen. So Dhanyavad for
Yeah.
having us on this thing, and most importantly to help us in reaching out our audience for your audience for Darshana exhibit. Darshana exhibit was a concept for a while, and all our HSS volunteers as well as many other community organizations volunteers working together. It's going on for a while, and we developed this exhibition uh, geared towards the entire our wider American society, so that everybody will have idea about what Hinduism is or what Hindu civilization is, because many times people have very as one of my friends used to say during college days, that one point extrapolation. So one of my neighbor is watching me as a Hindu. Whatever I'm doing as Hindu, that's what Hinduism for that neighbor can be. But if at all they see the wider idea about what Hindu civilization is, then they get most important tenets and aspects of the entire philosophy and civilization. So this is like one of the ideas or one of the efforts to reaching out and making sure our generation, next generations, as well as the broader society will get some input. So I would request you to show on the second page there is a video that is like a teaser. That will be great.
Sure. So just a second. Let me share the video. Uh,
America, a land of opportunity, diversity, and freedom, is home to an ever-changing population. It contains various cultures that have yet to be known and understood. Today, over 2.5 million Hindus, who belong to one of the oldest civilizations in the world, call America their home. They breathe American air and walk American streets. They attend American schools and vote in American elections. But what is known of their culture? What of their extensive history? What do we know of their philosophies, their beliefs and practices? It is time to know our neighbors. It is time for us, for each of us, one by one, to take a glimpse at the Hindu civilization and to learn a little bit about the colorful backgrounds of our fellow Hindu Americans. To begin to understand their lifestyles, philosophies, and their festivities, we welcome you to Darshana, a glimpse into the Hindu civilization.
Did you know that you could get paid up to 17,720 government tax incentives to put these new
Tesla solar panels on your home? These solar panels can lower your power bills to zero, and they can make you a net profit of more than $20,744.
Okay, well, it is it's not a great day here because everything kind of. So that you want to take over and go for it. I definitely know there are some issues today with the streaming. Go for it.
So Ajay, I would rather have Vikas ji come
I do
and.
have I do have a few questions that I'll go over, but why don't you start and then I'll jump in.
Okay, Ajay, your camera is also switched off. So
Yes, I know. I know.
So okay. So I would rather have Vikas ji present the slideshow that he has brought, and I think the video is part of that slideshow.
Right. So
So
the
Vikas
video
ji,
does not get uploaded along with the slides. So you have to do the slides, and I have the videos open separately. But because you already showed the video, so maybe you can just talk about some of these things. And people don't need to see me. I think three of you are good. So let me just start. So that I do have a couple of questions. So because you so you mentioned the overall rationale behind this. Is the target audience really the non Hindus, or is the target audience both Hindus and non-Hindus?
Uh, I mean, understanding Hindu civilization has no barrier or no restriction only to any particular society, but and many times within Hindu community also not everybody knows everything because it's a wide array of topics and a lot of things are there. So it is meant for everybody. At the same time, uh, one of our focus is basically to make sure that our neighborhood, our elected officials, our first responders, they know more about the community that we are part of, so that they understand what are our customs, culture, and that in a way helps in this whole diverse and diverse world that we live in. Natasha can add anything if you want.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to add to that. I think you made the correct point that this is really for everyone, and everyone is going to get very different things from it. So even in putting the exhibition together, there was a lot of thought on, you know, we want to make sure that we're starting from a place, we're not assuming that anyone knows anything coming into it. And at the same time, for people who already are engaged with, Hindu thought, dharmic living, they're coming into this, and hopefully for a lot of Hindus in the States, this is giving them the tools to either, put concepts and practices that they have into words that are eloquent. Maybe they didn't know how to word something, or they didn't have the confidence to, and the posters, I think, kind of empower them to do that. At the same time, anyone who hasn't had any exposure to any of these ideas, they're kind of given this really nice overview. to all these concepts that usually don't come up in other activities or discussions. Like, how often do we talk about the four ashramas? When we're usually, that doesn't come up in other occasions when we've presented our culture. I could keep going.
No, I think no, I think she they are trying to connect. Yeah.
In the process, while you were doing the exhibition preparation and all of these things, what were the concerns you really had in your mind in terms of both in terms of conveying the message that you needed to convey, as well as the prejudices that you felt you needed to overcome while preparing for the exhibit? Because those are, there is a rampant Hinduphobia in many sections of our society, and there is always gaslighting happening at social media level, at community levels. So tell us more about the thought process, the fears, concerns during this process.
Want to talk, Natasha, first?
Sure,
You can
yeah, I
go.
can take that one. I wouldn't really say we were thinking too much about. There weren't very many fears or concerns per se, but the project, this Darshana project, is very unique in that it isn't event driven in any way. It isn't like, oh, something happened and this is, we're doing this for that event or in reaction to an event. It isn't reactive at all. It isn't that someone raised a question that something happened, and in order to address that, there's this exhibition, and not being reactive, I think, gives us a lot of room to do something nice. So this exhibition, I really think about it in terms of like an introduction, right? Like, suppose you're just sitting in an audience, someone calls you out. What you're able to say then is going to be so limited, with like a limited, you don't have much room to explain, what is your background, where are you coming from, what is your way of being and thinking and behaving. There's no time for that. You're in a really rushed position to just like, address as well as you can, which is, limited. On the other hand, when you're like given the opportunity to introduce yourself freshly, you do it on your own terms. You kind of highlight, hey, these are the things that I'd like to tell you about myself. This is how I would describe it, on my own terms, not in the language that you're giving me. And it really gives us a lot of room to explore things that we think are cool and put them in ways that we think are most eloquent and most fitting. So that was something that was top of mind as we were putting together the exhibition. And of course, we can anticipate, if we say one thing, how might people react to this? How might people read it? So keeping that in mind, we really I think, tailored the phrasing in a way that felt most true to our experiences and the concepts that we've been hearing about.
So in terms of the research, how many people did you have in your team doing the research? I haven't seen the exhibits myself, but based on what I'm hearing, there is a considerable amount of research that has been done. There are lots of graphics, a lot of photographs. So tell us more about the process of design and the process of research that went into it. Either one of you can tell us, or both of you can tell us.
Yeah.
Vikash, you let me know if you want to.
Sure. So I will talk a little bit, but I know that Natasha was also deeply involved. So I would like to have her also to give some input from her. It's going on for a while, as you know. Research doesn't happen overnight, and what we did was there were several groups. They were involved at different levels, right from researching the actual topics. There are 24 different posters or exhibits, and we are each poster has specific topic. So it took a lot of time to understand, research that particular topic and put it in one poster, just to give a, as we say, glimpse of that particular topic. So it's a very tricky situation, and that too for a person who may not have idea what Hinduism is. So that's most important aspect of it also. So so what we did was that there were 2-3 different, as I said, groups. One of the most important group was I would say the youth group or the second generations also, who have seen Hinduism many times through the eyes and whatever the practices of their parents, but not those who might have probably experienced while raising in India. So that was one of the groups. Then obviously all people who have far more idea about the topics, and everybody was going through different views, and all these views were finally uh, inculcated. I mean, they were combined and made sure that they will be addressed. For example, it can be the right English from the for the US audience. It can be right wording for understanding the to get across the topic, and also most importantly, right, artwork. It has a lot of artwork which is developed by our own volunteers. So it took a lot of time, and I request Natasha if I've missed anything to add in that.
Yeah, no, I think you touched on the important things. There was a pretty large team over a long span of time, and different groups of people who would even review the poster. So it underwent like a very thorough review process by teenagers, people in their 20s, a lot of older Hindu folks who have been doing a lot of work in the States for many years now, and kind of we tried to put together all of that feedback and have that reflected in the exhibition. Another thing, as Vikashji said, the illustrations, that was a really big part of developing the exhibition, and it's really amazing. There were a lot of things we were particular about. A lot of times when we look at other Hindu texts, not just like a lot of like modern books, illustrations and all that, we'll still use very like European features in the illustrations. There's not very many like women usually depicted doing in whatever they're describing. And I think I'm very proud that this exhibition is very aware of that. And I really like the illustrations in this exhibition. That's one thing I think as everyone who goes to see it should keep in mind and appreciate.
Did you learn anything from the exhibit yourself?
Did I learn anything from the
While you were preparing the exhibition, what did you learn?
I think yeah, definitely. To be honest, I think that whole review process, where, my God, I think we've debated just about every single word that is in every poster. And the kind of, we talk so much about how the dharmic civilization really, we highlight diversity so much. And it's only when you're working to put together something like this that you really come across that. You come across like so many people who are thinking about the same things in such different ways. And it is not at all black and white. It is like how we were thinking so much about how we can bring all of that together in the way that, things are worded so briefly in each of the posters. So just, I feel like I learned a lot about how to say things, what kind of meaning, what kind of different meaning people draw from the same sentence, and just I really got a taste of that diversity in thought.
So you have some questions.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah.
Because I do want to go over the exhibit itself and some of these slides that are on the website, because there's a lot of information. But I want you to ask your questions first before I go to the slides.
Right. So one of the concerns that often is brought out when we do any project with Hindu civilization in mind is that often, and this is demographically, it happens naturally, 90% of the Hindus around the world are of Indian origin, but not all Hindus are of Indian origin or are from the Indian subcontinent also. So a challenge that often comes up, I have seen it in my 20 years of experience working with the Hindu communities in America, is that you always overrepresent Indian subcontinent and Indian subcontinental views from the ethnic and cultural perspective, overlapping as layers on top of Hindu civilizational ideas. Whereas people from Bali, people from Malaysia, Indonesia, people from the Caribbeans, many of whom may be from Indian subcontinent, but are removed from it for so many generations that they have a fully developed South American civilizational perspective themselves. Indonesia is obviously a
Yeah.
1,000-year civilization that developed as a Hindu civilization, independent of a direct connection to the Indian subcontinent. So, how did you tackle these challenges? Were you able to do justice? Give us your thoughts, and has there been any critique of it? What do you think about it?
So
Yeah.
yeah, let me give brief back understanding what I have, and again, basically, I, I mean, you pointed it very well actually that we have so many diverse societies within Hindu society, that they are obviously from India and then obviously outside India, everywhere. Uh, this whole experience of Hinduism, no matter, one thing we have to understand, that when we talk about the word Hindu, and interestingly, when I mean, not we, but when outside people, outside Hindu origin, people talk about word Hindu, they naturally think about India. That is one part. The other part is also interesting, that uh, a person, when outside non-Indian person sees an Indian, somewhere deep in mind, subconsciously, he or she immediately assumes the person is a practicing Hindu in some shape and form. So basically, uh, India and Hindu, or Bharat and Hindu, they are very close words to each other, because the civilization and all philosophies were rooted there and were evolved from there. So we cannot avoid that particular aspect of showing what was part of the civilization. Uh, However, as a part of the whole exhibition, we made sure that we showed the expanse of uh, Hindu civilization, and in terms of particularly religious and cultural aspects. Say, like a temple, for example, that what are the best temples, where are they, and how they are, and everything. So that way we covered. But the deep philosophical parts, or the deep others, let's say science, technology, ancient things, that we had to address more through Indian lenses.
Yeah, I'm really, really glad that you brought this up because it was something that we thought about a lot. And as Vikashi pointed out, a lot of the posters really do recognize the just geographically how widespread and how, the historically how diverse it's become, this like Hindus across the world. So they're both, like, we've recognized, the different temples. We've kind of gotten into the history a little bit of, there's this temple in Guyana. We've got something in like Oman, and like we've, especially in East Asia, of course. And I think one way is the recognition of that and pointing out the different practices and what is present there in terms of like just infrastructure, like the temples that they have. But on top of that, one thing that was very important to us is, as we're thinking about the diversity within dharmic thought, we really tried to not make any blanket statements. Oh, Hindus do this, Hindus believe that. You can't do that. I mean, that would be incredibly, hypocritical to be talking about there's so much, and then in one sentence be like, Hindus say and do this. So we were really careful to say that in this text, this idea is mentioned, in this practices we see this, or in some places people practice it this way, and there are many other ways that it's practiced as well. So there's this constant recognition that like there's a very that it's very vast, and there's no way I think it's very clear that we were aware, and we want to make sure anyone who's reading this is aware that whatever they're reading, it isn't limited to that. They can't assume that now they know, how everyone does it, and that everyone does it the same way. That's another thing also, and we were very particular about using the word dharma and dharmic, because I think it really contains within it so many traditions and ways of thinking. So I think in those ways we tried to get at this recognition of the various communities, and I don't think we can ever really fully do it justice. It would have to be a much larger body of work to do it justice.
Yeah, it's a 7,000 plus year old civilizational narrative.
Yeah.
So you can't do it justice in even 700 years of work.
Yeah. So let me I want to expand on a thought that Utsav just presented, right? And that is Hindus outside of India, because our focus is America, because we all live in America, so our focus is America. And I think it's great that that you are in the exhibit, you are showing the achievements of Hindus in various fields through the Indian lens, and that's appropriate. It's 7,000, 8,000 year history, and you're projecting that, right? But let me probe this a little bit further. When we talk about let's say that Hindus have been in America for since last 100 years now, right? First Hindu came here, and you have that in the exhibit, in sometime in early 1800s. There's a woman from Maharashtra who came here. She went to medical school, and people traditionally consider her to be the first Hindu. Right? She went back. Now, if you look at the achievements of Hindus in America, and because you remember we did this exhibit called Threads
Yes,
2019 in
right.
Boston, and there are a lot of Hindu achievements in America. The same way, there were Hindus, most of them natives, who practiced Hindu dharma in countries as far as, and recently, just last week, if you look at it, they discovered artifacts in Syria where they found the presence of Hindu civilization several thousand years ago. And you know that a lot of the a lot of the South Asian countries take a lot of pride in being practitioners of Hindu dharma for thousands of years. um, so, my question is, did you find in your research, did you find any of the achievements, scientific achievements, achievements in medicine, achievements in astronomy, any of these achievements in math, in art, in literature, achievements of Hindus outside of India? Or is that going to be part of the exhibit next year?
That's a very good question, and very tough question. But and tough in the sense not to answer me. For me or Natasha to answer, it's very easy. Partially because we don't know, we can just say. But the point, what I mean by that is, it's a unfortunately, it's a again goes back to documentation part, which uh, which is a challenge in general, other than our great scriptures, by all means. For many other things, documentation is a challenge in Hindu society in Bharat also, and to find out the right things in outside Bharat and connecting it to Hindu things is a very challenging, because it's I mean, to prove it, whatever our exhibitions, let me make it clear that it has a backup of references. It is not something our own conclusion, but that is something universally accepted conclusions, that yes, I mean, maybe some people can say that okay, zero came to the west through Arabian countries, which is fine. But the thing is that it was not invented. It was still invented by in a Hindu civilization. So that something is a known fact and accepted fact everywhere. So everything is factual. So if at all we go, as you said rightly about this example of Syria, the challenge what we can find out, that we can create more conversation on the doubt, that is it really factual or not. And we don't want to go into that. It is like as you said, it is like a next year's thing, maybe next year's thing. I mean, we have not planned right now, we are still just starting this one. But what it means is that this is like a major teaser for people, or major like a curiosity creator for people who don't know about Hinduism, or who think they know, but then they realize, oh, I didn't know this after seeing this exhibition. So that is something is happening, and based on that, new things can develop and evolve. And it's our all dharmic organizations work collectively to do, at least in US, and then expand it.
Yeah. If you look closely at this exhibition, the examples that we've chosen when it comes to accomplishments or things that came out of the Hindu civilization that are notable or that we can be proud of, it isn't that like, oh, a Hindu person came up with this. That isn't it. These are not the examples that we chose to include in the exhibition. It is examples in which we can really tie certain Hindu concepts and philosophies and say that you can very clearly see relation between how this came up and the kind of thinking that we've already explained in these other posters. So when it comes to mathematics, how devotion is tied to like mathematical practice, or the idea of shunya, how zero isn't just like, oh, we came up with like some Hindu guy came up with zero. It's like there's the presence of this concept of shunya across different philosophical texts, and how that's like built into also dharmic living and practice and thought. So we tried to focus our attention there for this exhibition, but surely there are a number of examples in architecture, in just about anything.
So can you walk us through the exhibit? So I brought up this site for the exhibition in Darshana. So for people, I'm going to put it on the chat, or actually from the broadcast chat at the caption, the URL, which is HinduDarshana.com, for people to visit. But can you walk us through some of these posters? I think these are all the 24 posters, right? Walk us through it.
Yeah.
Okay. There's so.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah. I'm just trying to figure it. Yeah.
Are you going to go through each one, Vikasji?
No, I'm not actually.
Which way you guys would like?
Yeah, you can start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess. I mean, I don't want to go into like too much detail, but you can
Yeah.
see the titles of each poster here. You can see there's some things that we really want to use. The word mandir, not temple. So we've tried to explain the word mandir in a way. There's holistic symbols, and then we have yoga, divinity, dharma. So we've tackled a lot of these really like I think big ideas. In each one, you'll see that we have some just FAQ and usually just a brief explanation, which you'll find on the poster. This FAQ is live. It's going to keep getting updated, and each poster will have this. So anytime that we at each exhibition, whenever people do ask questions, and we kind of take a note of this, and we'll keep updating this website. And a lot of these posters, as you can see at the bottom, are like interconnected. So if a person has a question on one poster, there's a good chance that they'll find additional information on another one. We can click on Seva maybe. So yeah, each of the QR codes is going to link to this website, to that specific poster page. And then from that website, you can really navigate to any other poster.
Excellent. This is really good, really nice. So that you have a question. Otherwise, I do have a question.
So I was
I
just
see
add one
the
more.
24 posts.
Yeah, I was.
ahead. So
It took me a while to unmute myself. So, in terms of the feedback that you have received so far, what would you rate is the most unfavorable feedback, and what would you rate to be the most favorable feedback? I want to hear about the unfavorable one first, because it helps us. As Hindus, we are very, 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 very deliberate and very contemplative people. So we should be trying to, we are constantly trying to improve ourselves, and that's what has kept us as a powerful civilization, the world's third largest religion for 7,000 years. So let's go with the unfavorable reviews that we have.
Well, the exhibition has not been around for, I think, long enough for us to have reached truly what the most unfavorable feedback will be. I think that one is yet to come. I'll be on the lookout for it. But for now, I think most of it is from Hindu folks themselves when they feel that something is incomplete. I think that is the main thing. Obviously, these are just 24 posters. We tried to keep them light in terms of how much text there is on each poster. So naturally, I think there's going to be a feeling of like, oh, why wasn't this addressed more? Oh, this should have been gone into more. That's mainly the sense that I've gotten.
So
and I can say something.
Go ahead, Vikasji. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I basically so far, I mean, I'm tracking all the feedbacks also, and I can almost confidently tell that other than what Natasha mentioned about feedback from Hindus about something either they think that missing or why it is not covered. We didn't hear any negative feedback from uh, the wider community, particularly non-practicing Hindus. And one of the reasons I can tell you that this
Oh, because his connection is somewhat choppy. Um, so we may have lost him, but
exhibition is like information. Can you hear me?
yeah, you
Okay, okay.
cut in and out
Okay,
a
okay.
little bit, but you may want
So,
to
so
restate
basically,
what you're
it is a
saying.
very positive experience for the viewers, and they realize that we are not trying to say something that we are the only great people, but we are just telling, as at the beginning Natasha said, we are just telling who we are from our own practices and our own not imagination, our views, rather than somebody's imposed views. So they appreciate it, and we have a lot of that kind of video inputs from many people, and they really liked it. So that so far so good. That's what I would
So,
say.
so since because since Utsada started on the hard question track, right? Let me ask another one. What are some of the topics you wish were part of the exhibition and they're not?
Uh, Again, the thing is that this exhibition,
Because you have 24, right? Let's say
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
you have 24 posters right now. If you had, let's say, if somebody had decided that at the beginning, the committee had decided that we are going to have 30, right? Let's
yeah.
just imagine that,
Sure, sure.
assume that for a minute. What would be the next four posters?
The next four posters can be there can be the uh, posters that can reflect some sort of misconceptions or misunderstanding, or
Like, give an
that kind of
example.
posters can.
Give us some examples.
Examples can be sometime how, for example, it's a very classic thing that we hear many times, that about the cow worship, that how cow worship is considered, and why how cow is god or everything. So those kind of things, so that is a misconception, that what exactly we think, why exactly we think, and what exactly we practice, and how those things are there. So that is one example. Then there can be societal issues, but again the point is, our point was that this exhibition was not to create more on controversial or topic that can be like a considered as either controversial or defensive or reactive, but just to give idea about who we are, which many times by and large misses in the conversation or misses in the description when somebody talks about us. So this is our opportunity to tell who we are the best, not
So,
something, oh, this is not we are. I don't want to tell that part. We want to tell that this is we are, and this is something you can replicate without being uh, having any other ritual. These are all
so
universal practices.
In my
I
opinion, if
yeah, please
we
go
we
ahead.
didn't start with like we want to have this many posters, so let's figure out what topics to put. I think we fluctuated. We went down. We were like, this is not necessary. Then we were like, oh, this one is very necessary. So we added and we landed where we are. So given that, I think if I wouldn't know what. I don't think there are any four posters that I can think of to add. I can't even
So,
think of
so
one
let
other
me
poster.
let me ask you this because there is one I can think of, and I just want to get your view on it.
Sure.
Or so maybe a couple of them, right? So there is a lot of misconception in America about swastika, but I didn't see a poster on swastika. Um, would you consider that to be your 25th poster?
Um, Well, so what I was saying earlier is that while I don't think that I can't think of any poster I would want to add to it. I think each of the posters could be like there could be a part two and part three to each poster. I think with festivals, we only mentioned I think what three festivals on there. There are so many others that I would want to add to that. Similarly, our symbols poster has only a few symbols that we wanted to touch that people come in contact with. We could go much farther in depth with that, including the swastika and talking about the meaning of that and what sort of relevance it has and why it's such an important symbol, what it represents.
Reason I brought swastika up is because there is so much controversy in last 1 year, and
Yeah.
so many city councils and states that tried to classify swastika instead of Hakenkreuz as
Mhm.
the symbol of hate. And would this have been a good opportunity to kind of erase that misconception and say,
Mhm.
look, I mean, here is a special case. It's not like Om. Swastika is not Om. Swastika is not a kalash. Swastika has a very special meaning, very significant meaning to Hindus and to other lot of other native cultures for 7, 8, 9,000 years. And in recent times, for last 70 years ago, some one person, not even using the word swastika, abused a similar looking symbol, and that has been now pinned on Hindus in many ways. So should we not, you know, remove that misconception? That is a special case of
That's true.
misconception, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Hindu community has also been doing a lot of incredible work recently with respect to the swastika, and I've seen a number of really incredible resources. I've seen people explain it very beautifully. I've seen recently. I was at a stand-up comedy show here in New York City, and this Indian woman was doing her set, and she just casually threw in a little bit about the swastika and really told people what it is. And she was like, it's crazy that this misconception exists between the Hakenkreuz and the swastika, and you just like that, at the end of her set, people laughed, and I've really been seeing a lot of interesting and great discourse around this. Um, I agree that it's something we should continue talking about, um, and I don't think that the exhibition is like the opportunity. As we were putting it together, it felt like that. We were like, we have to pack in everything we want to talk about in this exhibition. But the fact is, it is one event among
Sure.
a number of events. When especially the swastika as a topic, we really have to go into in detail. And I think 2 lines on a poster would not necessarily do justice.
Okay. Because I have a question, another difficult question for you.
Sure.
Why not a poster on Hindutva? That is another term. There's so much misconception, and we all know that Hindutva is essence of Hindu Dharma. It is a way of
Yeah.
Hindus live their lives, and it is a manifestation of Hindu Dharma in day-to-day practical living. So why would you consider that to be the next poster, explaining to
I mean,
people what is Hindutva?
well, to explain Hindutva, I would like to have different exhibition, not just one
Okay.
poster, because it's not something uh, easy to explain just in one kind of poster. Uh, Again, the thing is that if at all we are doing it for wider audience, I mean, I don't have any statistical data, but I'm just imagining right now, honestly, uh, other than the Indian community, and for the logical reasons, the way media and some of our friends bring all the time Hindutva in a incorrect context. Uh, I'm not sure how many, even say, police or or fire department or the mayors or school teachers, they know even this word Hindutva. They first of all need to know what Hindu and Hindu civilization and who my student or my neighbor or my constituent is. So let's focus on that. So the whole focus is on that part. Hindutva is a very near and dear topic for me, maybe, but it may have a different avenue and different audience and different set of presentation, which needs to be definitely done. It is a need of our, but the audience can be different. It can be some intellectual audience or sometimes media audience, but the general audience I'm talking about, they may not even know the word Hindutva. So so that's why it may not be well fitting in this kind of exhibition. And same thing what you said about swastika. Swastika is a very important topic. I totally agree, Ajayji, with you. Just because I just wanted to add what Natasha said. So basically, and it has to be explained again. And we are trying to find out the right opportunity, that how we can explain, and we will work together. I mean, this is not again one organization's task. We are working together, and we'll try to figure it out, that we will include something or we'll have something which will educate more and more. That is a very important topic than even Hindutva in American society.
Sure, sure. Thank you for that. So that
I think, I mean, overall, this exhibition is shaping up to be something that is going to be really educational, not just for American Hindus, not just for average Americans, but for Hindus in America and probably Hindus in India as well, given the level of education Hindus have in our part of the world. So, this is a very fantastic effort, and I hope that more and more iterations of this show up, and this becomes a continuous process. Are you guys thinking along those lines, where this is just not one that travels around the country, and but every year we update it and make it almost like Hindu Dharma, a living, growing, rational exhibit? Do you have
Uh,
any? Yeah.
So yes, yes, it is a, so I mean there is no plan that I can, I mean, just say that there is a plan kind of thing, but I can say some certain things which can happen down the road. First of all, this is like a uh, giving more curiosity or inquisitiveness for people to know more about Hinduism. The way it can happen, that it is like a uh, evolving process. So maybe again exhibition, maybe same exhibition, maybe some additional posters, as Ajayji was saying earlier. Instead of 24, there can be 30 posters. We can find some new topics. But that is one thing. The other things can happen is that we can have some uh, education, or like a continuing education for say schools, or for say elected officials, or say for first responders, because it's very important what we unfortunately miss in the whole discussion. And I'm not talking us, but I'm talking about the wider Hindu community, that we sometimes get too much connected with the media attention to incorrect topics, and we have to pay attention. I'm not saying that they are not required, but equally important are the situations where we need to make sure that uh, the local community knows about us pretty well, because sometimes they need to connect with us, and if they don't understand the cultural aspects, that becomes a challenge. If at all say police or fire wants to talk with somebody, they go to somebody Hindu place, and if they get confused, we cannot afford that thing. Or if there is even worse thing is, like let's say there is a hate crime, they need to know what exactly hate crime is happening against Hindus. So those things are also there. So for that, they need to have clear understanding of us. It's not just for many years, Hindus and Indian community is always looked as a very successful, peace-loving, low crime rate, very rich, etc., community. But we cannot live in that only like a silo. We need to. We are part of the entire society, but let the other society also understand who we are, and that is the real diversity, equity, inclusivity that everybody talks, but we are not part of. So we are trying to be part of that DEI part.
that's such a powerful message. I mean, I think that that is really the essence of this exhibit, right? When I went there in Pennsylvania, I attended the exhibit that was held last week, and it was amazing. There were a lot of people who are the local officials. There were people who are the police chief was there, the sheriff was there, and all of these people were in a there with a genuine desire to learn about Hindu Dharma and to learn about Hindu civilization. And I think, I think that this exhibit did an amazing job in telling people what is Hindu Dharma, who are the Hindus, what is what is it that Hindus bring to America. Because it is, the contributions of Hindus to American life is enormous. If you think about Hindus, not just in the professional fields or in universities, but if you look at the lasting impact in people's lives, whether it is the Hindu impact on healthcare in the form of Ayurveda, the entire chain Aveda is based on Ayurvedic therapies. If you look at the yoga and the meditation, and people try to rebrand it as mindfulness, it's really meditation. And also all of these things that are making positive impact on American life, the increasing vegetarianism, and healthy food concepts. These are all the contributions that Hindus have made, and people ought to know that there is a lot more where that came from, and what led to these things that people see on the outward. People see yoga, or people see mindfulness, or people see Aveda, but really what brought about these things, and what brought about these things starts with the primordial symbol and the sound of Om, all the way to the mandir that exists in
Yeah.
Angkor Wat and all, and the and all the other cultural practices. It's the entire ecosystem that leads to yoga, the entire ecosystem that leads to mindfulness, the entire ecosystem that leads to Aveda and all the other things, right? And I think that is, to me at least, as a personally, when I walked through the exhibit, I met the people, I saw the people over there. I thought that that is a mess, that connectivity from present, what in the present day America, what people see, to the past that always existed. I think that that is a real, in my mind and my eyes, that was like the real achievement of this exhibit. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's one thing that like antiquity and like continuing into modernity was something that we were hoping would really come across in the exhibition. So I'm really glad that it did. Yeah, Vikashti, I think you wanted to add something.
Well,
Okay.
we use the word Hinduism. I just remember something. I mean, little bit on a not lighter side, but memory side. We use the word Hinduism, but we have internally also debate that is it a Hinduism or Hindu Dharma or Hinduness, whatever. So, but the thing is that broadly it is accepted word. But there is one time I heard by somebody saying that when thinking stops, it becomes a thought, and when thought fossilifies, it becomes ism. And that's why Hinduism is not the right word, because we are not fossil, we are a living civilization.
So
And
uh, I'm glad you said that, because we usually never use the word Hinduism on this show.
yeah,
I didn't want to point out, but we always use the word Hindu Dharma.
yeah, exactly. But what happens that because of the way certain words we use it, not with the exact meaning, but because they are practiced, so let it go kind of thing, ignoring. But that doesn't that sometimes hurts. That okay, but it's not hism, because we are living civilization, and and most importantly, so that is what the whole thing is about this even exhibition also. And that's the reason, I mean, somebody can ask question that why is I think Natasha already explained, but why zero, or why a temple shown, or why technology is shown, because the whole uh, it is a very uniqueness about Hindu civilization, that our life is totally integrated. It's not just one time to go to temple and do prayer, or at home do prayer, and we are done with our religious aspect. Now let's live the rest of the life. No, we are everything what we are doing, even since we wake up in the morning, we have all these practices. So that's why we want to show all these things together. And I hope that people will get that thing somewhere, not immediately everything, but somewhere that seed will sow.
Thank you. Sudha, any final thought before we transition to the next segment?
No, Ajay bhai, I just want to thank Vikas ji and Natasha ji for coming, and I want to thank the entire team that did this exhibition, and the entire team that continues to push people around America to go and see it and engage with it. I hope people look at it. I also hope people criticize it, because
Yes.
that's what makes Hindus. We always come up with a better version of ourselves through critical thinking, and I really believe this is a wonderful effort. I believe it reaches the minds of the top leadership in America. uh, I hope President Biden watches it somewhere, or
Well,
so I can only hope.
at
I
least
can only
Kamala
hope,
Harris.
right? So I
This
hope it
this will be a
reaches
good
the minds that
introduction
matter.
for Kamala Harris to Hindu civilization. So let's
Yeah,
hope she watches
I
it.
hope that, yeah, I hope it reaches the minds that matter, because that is very important
Yeah.
across the country.
Hey, so thank you again very much.
Thank you.
Please hang around. We're going to be doing the show for 5 more minutes, and you're welcome to opine on a couple of other topics we're going to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit. We have three regular segments. The first one is Hindu Seva or Charity Act of the Week. The second one is the Hindu Good News of the Week, and the third one is Hinduphobe or Hindu Hater of the Week. And you guys will enjoy it. So if you have
Sure.
time, please hang
Sure.
around. All right. So,
Yeah.
all right, so the three regular segment with the last one, which is the most popular one, which is the Hindu hater or Hindu phobe of the week. We're going to leave it as a teaser for the end. And let's go to the Hindu Seva or Charity Act of the week. And here is the music for that.
मनसा सततं स्मरणीयं मनसा सततं स्मरणीयं वचसा सततं वदनीयं मनसा सततं स्मरणीयं वचसा सततं वदनीयं लोकहितं.
And so that this week again, we want to nominate these same organizations that we had last week because they still continue to do amazing work and we want to support them as much as possible. So as we know, as I bring up my slide that I want to share here, so you may want to share the slide, the three slides that we have. So if you bring up the first slide, which is Hindu Seva Charity Act of the Week, we focused on the humanitarian aspect of the war in Ukraine, and we want Hindus to see if they can support some of the charity activities or Seva activities that are going on in Ukraine. The first one we always talk about is Seva International. Seva International is doing amazing work. They've served tens of thousands of meals. They've helped the tens of thousands of refugees who left Ukraine. But they're also, and also not just in Ukraine, but also in surrounding countries. So we want to highlight the work that Seva International is doing. Please visit their website, sevainternational.org. The other organization, and usually we have one, this time we are featuring four organizations. The other is the BAPS, the Swaminarayan Sanstha. They are also doing work in Ukraine. As you can see, they're serving food to people who are, who have suffered due to the war over there. The next one is ISKCON. ISKCON, as we said last time, has over 60 mandirs in Ukraine. And even now, in the height of the war, ISKCON is serving meals and helping people over there. And Art of Living, the organization from Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, they have also been helping the people over there. This is really the essence of Hindu Dharma. Seva Parmo Dharma, this is the essence of Hindu Dharma. These Hindu organizations are out there where people actually need them. They are doing selfless service. And I know there is in the Darshana exhibit, there is a poster on Seva, and Natasha talked about that. Do you want to say anything about the Seva activities that are going on in Ukraine by these Hindu organizations? So Vikas ji, Natasha ji, one of you, if you want to comment on it, please go ahead.
I think Vikashji can speak better on this than I can.
So your question, if I understand correctly, because there was little lag in me.
No, what I was saying was that there is you have this in the exhibit, and here is the manifestation of the Seva
Right.
poster.
Yeah.
Any comments on that?
Well, it is not surprising. What we show is what we are, and what we showed in the posters is exactly as you said. It is a manifestation. Hindus cannot stay quiet, and they will do real charity without any strings attached. And this is a classic example what they had done amazing work in Ukraine, and all these organizations, BAPS, ISKCONs, obviously Seva, and Art of Living. They are. We have seen them working in the past also in a humanitarian crisis, and it is like our second nature. So really big claps or om to them.
What
Yeah,
is
thank
most
you.
fascinating, Ajay Bhai, is that many of these organizations are working across the border. So it's not just within Ukraine they're working. They're working on the western side of Ukraine, in Poland and some of the Eastern European countries. And they're working in Russia because there are hundreds and thousands of refugees that have gone towards Russia. And so, organizations like ISKCON are even helping So it is truly a humanitarian effort that transcends geostrategic, geopolitical agendas and objectives, and that really is amazing from the
Absolutely.
community.
Yeah.
Thank you.
One
Thank
thing
you
that I
so much.
find sorry.
Sure, please.
What's really
Please go ahead.
inspiring to me about this, and what was like when you brought up the poster, and I was thinking about this in that context, is a lot of times we talk about like individually the things that we think and practice, but when I see inspiring efforts like this, it really shows to me just how important community is, because I think any practicing Hindu, this value of seva is like deeply embedded, and only whenever there is like a strong community, which I'm increasingly seeing the importance of building, are we able to do things like naturally things like this will happen, efforts like this will come up, and people will do good work.
Yeah, it makes it real, right? I mean, this is the real life, a real life manifestation of a poster. So this makes it real. So thanks again. So that the next one, our regular scheduled, segment is the Hindu good news of the week. So we usually do have a music for that, right? So here we go. I don't know if it played or not.
Yeah, it did play Ajay bhai.
Oh, good. Did it annoy you? Because this music usually annoys you. So
It does annoy
hey,
me
so
every
you
time
did. You have the wrong slide here. You have the older version of the slide that you brought up. So you should, retrieve the slide from the online version. But I'm going to talk about it. So while you bring up the right slide, you should go to the online version and bring up the new slide. But so the good news, and maybe Natasha, this is something
For
that you
some
may want
reason,
to.
it is not showing up. I'm trying to refresh the slide, Ajay bhai.
Yeah,
It's
so
not
go ahead
showing
and
up.
refresh it. So there is the good news of the week is in Flushing, New York, one of the oldest Hindu mandirs is called the Ganesha Mandir. And I don't know, Natasha, if you've been there because you're kind of new to New York, right? But you should visit that mandir. It's one of the oldest Hindu mandirs, and the street on which the mandir is there, the mandir has been there for 45 years, and finally the street got the name
Yes.
Ganesha Mandir Street. And it's the name that they share because they with the original name, which was the Brown Street. So it's a co-naming, and it's the first time in America that a street got co-named. Now that I know that there are streets with the temple name on it and all that, but for an existing street that had been around for a very long time, this is for the very first time that the street actually got renamed, or actually got co-named to Ganesha Mandir Street. And again, this is one of the oldest Hindu mandirs in New York, in Flushing, Queens, and it's called the Ganesha Mandir. Because yeah, I'm sure you have visited that mandir, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Yeah.
So it is. Anyone who is watching this show who have not been to that mandir, please do go visit the mandir. And it shows how starting from a small mandir like that. Today in America we have over 1,000 mandirs, but it all started with a mandir. There are 3 or 4 original mandirs, right? This was one of them. So I encourage everyone to go and visit this mandir on a newly named street. Okay, and so that then we go to the final segment, and that final segment. So that I have picked a Hindu phobe of the week, and I know you've picked it, and for Vikasji and Natasha ji, we try to pick Hindu good news of the week and Hindu phobe of the week, and I can tell you that Hindu good news of the week sometimes takes a couple of hours to find one. Hindu hater of the week, we have to be kind of, we have to kind of figure out who not to take, because every week there are so many people who have committed act of Hindu phobia. It's a challenge to kind of, it's a challenge to, you know, to kind of weed out, to pick one. So that I'm going to pick this one on the chat here, and maybe you can bring up and share this one because this is the one that I picked, and I know you picked something else. So this
Ajay
is
bhai, I'm sharing something that I picked, and then let's go
yeah,
from there to the one you picked. Okay, so then we can have both.
Sure, we can have both. Go for it.
So again, this is for I would say for the third time. that, and again, we are being really generous by not picking this gentleman for the 50th time, but
Every week.
we have for the third time Khalid Bedoun, who is a professor of law at Wayne
Again?
State University.
How many weeks are we going to pick him?
Ajay bhai, he keeps on, it's a gift that keeps on giving, sadly for our community. So just 1 month ago, he had to, the university's chancellor had to seek an apology from Khalid Bedoun for constantly posting Hinduphobic comments. And Wayne State University actually posted that to the people who complained to the university just a month and a half ago. And lo behold, today he starts, he posted again last week. So he's a professor of law at Wayne State University, deeply Hinduphobic academic, something that is very concerning and something that needs to be brought out again and again, because this is something that affects the future of Hindu children across America. And I feel sorry for people of Hindu American origin who study at Wayne State University and has to interact with this individual who is at a pretty powerful position as a professor of law. So we again, this is one of the Hinduphobes of the week, and I'm going to bring up Ajay Bhai's Hinduphobe of the week, and this is from
Yeah.
yeah.
So that this one is yeah. Go ahead and I let me I can bring it up.
No, I'm bringing it up, but you go ahead and talk. If you see the screen,
Yeah.
go ahead
So
and talk.
that this one I want to bring up because this is what I call casual Hinduphobia. Like really, I mean, just you casually just throw in something that's really Hinduphobic. Now this Goodman project has, I went to the entire website. There's really not much about any religion, any faith, any of that, right? And they throw in this one article, and they talk about undertone on how extremist Hindu nationalists use Instagram. All right, if someone wants to talk about extremist Hindus using Instagram and pick up three people out of a billion people, over a billion Hindus, and you pick three Instagram users and you build an entire narrative about the Hindus based on the three people who are posting something, that is one thing. And maybe it is Hinduphobic, and I absolutely detest that. But I hate to say this, but I can probably live with that a little bit, although I can't. But then you take a picture of a Swami, picture of a person who has sacrificed his life to serve this society, and you put the picture on that, and you imply that a person who is wearing a saffron, a person who is putting vibhuti on the forehead, is now a person who is a representative of these three people out of a billion who are posting something nasty on Instagram. And then you say that, look, this is the present state of Hindu dharma, and this is the present state of Hindutva. That to me is what I would call just casually just throw in an article with a picture very deliberately put in, and people are just flipping through a completely unsuspecting website, and all of a sudden they see this picture of a Swami, and next time they see a Swami or a sadhu in their local mandir, or someone who is going on the airplane somewhere, and people who don't know much about Hindu dharma, they'll say, oh look, here is a Hindu nationalist who is wreaking havoc on Instagram.
Well, you
Right?
should be thankful and happy that they only brought up Instagram, because this is a trend that is very popular amongst certain media circles. They want to silence every voice that Hindus have in a decentralized manner on social media platform. So they preemptively demonize anybody who has a voice, because it's not like they want your voice to be heard. So it's something that is a trend. I believe, Ajay bhai, this will continue to increase, and this is that's not a voice I like, Ajay bhai, either in your recording.
That's what I see. But that's what I think when I see things like that. Hey, Natasha, you were brought up in the US, right? What are your thoughts when you see something like this?
Yeah, to be honest, at first when I looked at this, I was thinking more about the words, and I was like, oh, it's kind of nice that they used extremist here as an adjective. Because it's implying that not all Hindu nationalists are extremists, and I was like, yeah, I could, all right. And then, but yeah, no, your point about the picture, really, it is very unfortunate to see that now just like these very simple traits are going to be associated with whatever's discussed in this article. Though I don't know, I go back and forth because people see the same sort of the mala and the bhagwa colored, the saffron colored clothing and everything in different contexts too. It really is just a matter of what each person is exposed to. So I can see really the dangers of that, of someone just running across this article and not having any other exposure.
Yeah. Because anything you want to add?
So, couple of things I can say. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, a couple of things I can say. First of all, unfortunately, not surprising to see such articles, that too with a author's name as some global civic society or whatever. So, I just checked quick out of curiosity who they are. Observatory. So all the articles are without names. When somebody writes without names, how much value it has, I really doubt. I mean, if they don't want to even put their name, that doesn't mean they are afraid, but they are not sure about what they are writing. That is one thing conclusion I can make it. But the other one, on the other side, what happens, and that is like swastika case, classic swastika case. That swastika and Hacken Cruz, they get mixed, and then we get bad name for using swastika, which is totally unacceptable. That being said, a similar thing happens with words. Some of the words, that the way they are used in Europe and American context in history and otherwise, since particularly World War II, and the way they are used outside Europe and America, which is a pretty big civilization. It's not just uh, these two continents. The same words are used. What I'm bringing a point is about the word nationalist or nationalism. They get immediately connected in the way minds and trend in the US and Europe to Hitler. So, but if we hear these words in India, even I know some of the liberal uh, or the left-leaning editors, journalists from the old generation, they still use the word in India, nationalist, not as a in a bad way. So that kind of confusion of words, or the confusion of becomes a classic case, which then it is used for the narrative. I'm not talking, I didn't read this article, so I'm not talking about the article. I'm just talking about the word that many times, oh, Hindu nationalist may not be bad thing, but the thing is, the moment somebody who is not connected with India listen to that from Europe or from America, they just think that, oh, Hitler created the nationalism, and that is what is happened, and that is a nationalist part. So Hindu nationalist is a bad thing. So that automatically, subtly gets imbibed in their mind.
Yeah. Hey, no, the very good points, and
I think
Darshana
you are
exhibit
muted,
is
Ajay.
going to, yeah, Darshana exhibit is going to address these are the kinds of issues, right? So let me show you this. Let me show you
We
this. I
cannot
know we
hear.
are time, Usoda, and I apologize for this, but I cannot resist showing this and get our guest view on this, because this is an article. I was going to keep it for next week, but I want to get their view on it because we have some very important guests today. So this is I'm only going to read the first paragraph of this. Ayodhya under the dirty grey monsoon sky. This came out this week in the magazine called Tablet, published from New York. It's a Jewish magazine written by Siddhartha Deb. Ayodhya under the dirty grey monsoon sky was a surprise and a disappointment. All the way, this town in the northern state of Uttar Pradesh, the most populous, poorest, and possibly the most violent state in one of the most violent countries in the world, the promise of change had been insistent. It lay behind me, the sheet metal cordoning off part of the New Delhi and demarcating the 2 billion Central Vista project that will erect a new parliament complex and a new residence for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. It's glittering It glittered on the edges of pristine, most empty airport in Lucknow, where I had flown in from Delhi, along with the freshly tarred highway that looked to me in a 4-hour drive from Lucknow to the town of Faizabad. Most of all, it lay ahead Ayodhya, Faizabad, twin town where Modi and his cohort, Hindu right political group, are building grand temple. And then it goes on to say how how dirty India is, how bad India is, and it is I think a 2,000 word article that just I mean, it is a gutter inspector report, and I urge everyone to actually read this to really uh, to read this article. And it talks about Sri Ram, birthplace, supposedly birthplace of Ram on Ram Navami. This article comes, the blue-skinned man king god who is the troubled protagonist of the epic poem Ramayana, and then it goes on to say. How it just denigrates Hindu dharma, and it denigrates India in the worst possible way. And it talks about the BAPS Mandir, the Swaminarayan Mandir, and all of that. So this is the kind of article that every Hindu should read and then watch the exhibit, and they will know why this exhibit is important. It is just absolutely, uh, you know, a gutter inspector's report. Okay, so I will stop there. I and you know this is the this is the reality of Hinduphobia today.
If I could just jump in, sorry, with
Sure.
one quick thing. That last article you showed us, it really reminded me. Just there's a lot of there's so much just hypocrisy. I want to say or at least a lot of things there are at odds with one another when a lot of people further on the left, support articles like these that are so clearly colonial and racist views. Just that the comment about the blue skinned, where there's obviously no respect for the kind of whatever artistic depictions there are in the past. No justice towards older ancient texts, ancient ways of thinking. I'm sure they could make they could make the same case without being as disrespectful or just inconsiderate of another culture in a way that is alienating, and it really is just in line with all the same colonial trends that people are also critiquing. They're doing the very same thing whenever they talk about Hindu things. So that's another thing where with the exhibition, to kind of tie it back, is this is a presentation on our own terms. It is fully owning our imagery, our literature, and showing that it may not make sense in a Western paradigm, but that this is we don't need to fit ourselves within the Western paradigm.
Absolutely. So thank you again, Natasha, Vikasji, both of you, thank you for coming. We will. You guys are so articulate and you speak so well. You should consider coming on this show more frequently. But I want to thank both of you for coming. First of all, amazing work to the entire HSS team on putting together this exhibit. It is extremely well done. Utsada, I know you just came back from India. You should, when the exhibit happens in DC area, you should go and see it. I highly recommend everyone to please go and see the exhibit. Please volunteer your time and propagate this exhibit in any way you can. Volunteer time, and join, the great activities that Sangh is doing in America. And please reach out to Vikas ji and Natasha ji. Go to their website, the Darshana website or HSS website, and and just be part of this amazing exhibit and the other activities. With that, I want to thank everyone. I want to apologize once again. Namaste, and I want to apologize once again for all the initial problems we had. We will rebroadcast this in its entirety. We will we'll do a little bit of cleanup and make it a little bit more coherent, and then we'll rebroadcast it and we'll let you know, and then we can you can send out the link to all the people that
Sure.
you know. So thank you again. Thank you for joining, Utsada,
Thank
as
you.
always. Thank you and welcome back.
Thank you, Ajay ji.
Namaste.
Thank you, Uttar ji. Namaste. Bye bye.
And as we close out the program, here is the amazing music from Decibels created just for Hindu Lounge. And Decibel creates this amazing music just for Hindu Lounge. So we'll turn off our videos and we'll listen to the clip for the next couple of minutes. Thank you, everyone. Thanks. And we'll see you next week. Namaste.